I've managed to accomplish a lot in my short years.
Yeah.
I came from a lot of what we like to say is disadvantage.
Turns out it wasn't.
No, I had so much love. I've always understood that. We had that.
The disadvantage in contrast is actually advantage, isn't it?
It totally is.
Because that's what fills up vortexes full of ingredients that make for great discovery.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, through all of the disadvantage experiences I've always had.
Let's call it catapulting.
Catapulting. Okay, great.
All this bouncing off.
I had tons of anchors. I had things I could grip onto. People who mattered. I made decisions for them. So as an adult male, I see the consequence of making decisions for others. And you can be selfless and do courageous acts to take care of yourself and your family. And 40 years later, it's just you. And you're still waiting for the vortex to fill with the things such as personal love and personal affection, whether it be for yourself or from someone else.
Well, don't get too tangled up in the past. Instead, revel in what it has brought you to. Someone said to us, I've lost my fortune, and he meant it. He had a big fortune, and it was gone right now. And he said, and I'm too old to start over. And we said to him, but what you are not taking into consideration is the vibrational countenance that you have become. You are not factoring in the enormous asset that we cannot even find a big enough value to put on of your vibrational point of attraction. And you said it best in your opening words to us, that all that, what you call disadvantage, some advantage and disadvantage, parlayed you into this and this and this and this and this, and here you now stand at this bouncing off place. But there's so much more than just where you stand, because more is bounced off through all of that is in this vortex that you now can retrieve anytime that you want to. So nothing that was past is really past, because it's all present in the vortex. Everything that you lived accomplished something that is still ripe for the picking. Every piece of it, every piece of life that you have ever lived, which means all that you have ever lived, and all that we've ever lived too. In other words, all that any of us have ever become is all right here, ripe for the plucking, right for the picking, right for the receiving of you right here and now. So never feel like it was all for nothing, or like it was too much to pay for where I am. Instead, can you feel the feeling of enthusiasm that we are wanting to foster within you about what all of that stands for and what all of that means and what the potential of all of that is in terms of full manifestation? Because we see your vortex and we know how it got there, and we know everything that you lived that put it there, but we never look back at what you lived that put it there. We just look at what's put there. We only look at what's put there. It doesn't matter how it got there. It's magnificent what's put there, what is there, what's vibrationally there. Not just for the potential it has of manifesting into all of these things and experiences, but because it in and of itself is magnificent. It's what we thrive on. So as we be in the middle of it, as we let all of it and all of us mix all together, it's like nurturing nutrition. It's like life force to us. As we revel in all that you've put there and make sure by our attention to it that it remains active and ready for your discovery. That means the potential of you being re-enlivened about life is possible in every moment, you see. You just got to be in the receptive mode. You just got to be in the right mood, because you can reclaim all of that has culminated anytime, you see. And you won't use it up because you're adding to it as you go. It will never diminish. Your vortex never diminishes, because there is no regression. There's no going back. There's no being less than you've been. There's pinching yourself off from what has become. But there's no being less than. It will never diminish. It won't fritter away. It won't peter out. It won't go away. It won't stop existing. You don't need to worry about it. You've put it there, and it is real for eternity, you see. And so all you got to decide is, in this moment in time, how much of this sustenance that is there for all eternity are you wanting to participate in right here, right now, for the satisfaction that comes from it? And feel what you're feeling right now. Even this moment in time is an extraordinary experience.
It is. It is.
It's a moment in time that you created, that you got in enough of the receptive mode, that you lighted up, and here you are. And so all of that is right now turning to things. You have renewed just now in a more vivid way than ever before your zest for life. And you've just found, we felt it move through you. You've just found appreciation for everything that you lived. And now you're standing in this fresh start place where you're ready for what comes next. And oh, the streaming of ideas that is in the queue for you, it will take your breath away. Esther was standing in the balcony of her new house, looking down at a new rug that was just laid on the floor. And she could hardly catch her breath. Her excitement was so high because she stood there with a rug that came out of a castle in Germany that had just been placed on the floor of her beautiful house. She stood there looking at it and remembered us saying through all the years, it's as easy to create a castle as a button. And there she is in her house with turrets and domes and big high ceilings. People look at it and they call it a castle because it looks like one. And Esther is breathless. She can hardly breathe. The excitement is so strong as she realizes that everything that we've ever said about all of this is exactly the way that it is. That when you get into that place, and how fast it happens, it only takes a little bit of desire and a little bit of no longer believing in opposition to your desire for the energy that creates worlds to flow through your vortex and satisfy the intentions that you've been putting there all of the days of your life. And Esther roams around in this house and she sees all kinds of connections to things that she desired that she didn't even remember were in her vortex until they manifested fully. It's like you never forgot what I wanted. You never forgot what I had become. You never forgot. Source never forgets, you see. All you got to do is get into that place where you can remember what Source never forgot.
Last question, last thing. It's the discovery of who I am. That's the biggest challenge.
The discovery
of who I am. I've done so much great
But can
stuff.
you feel that this is just what we were talking about? So the discovery of who you are. It's going to take a really long time. And the discovery of who I am. You have enough in your vortex to keep you busy for 20 or 30 lifetimes. And so the discovery isn't to get it done. The discovery is for the fun of the discovery. It's the discovery. It's the discovery. It's the discovery. Jerry and Esther were in Oak Creek Canyon up by Sedona in Arizona. And it was on October 12th, and they were coming down the canyon. And it was like a perfect moment in time because the leaves were turning, most of them golden, and the sun was shining right down the canyon because of the way the sun was in the sky at that time of year. And the timing of their movement down the canyon put them in a place of the most divine, heaven-sent, it felt like, experience. It remains the most spectacular, surprising, awesome visual experience of their lifetimes. Neither one of them could speak. It was so profoundly magical. They felt like the two most blessed people in the entire world, that they would converge with this. Now, part of it was because they were tuned in, tapped in, turned on, but it was just good timing. And so Jerry wrote it in his book, Jerry's Almanac. He wrote the date and the time. And for the next 5 years, they got a bus, loaded everybody they loved on it who lived in Phoenix, drove up that canyon on October 12th and drove down that canyon at precisely that time, and never again did they see anything like it. Because they can't orchestrate it like we can. So, being who I was meant to be, what were your words?
Who I am.
Who I am. In other words, this evolving being, who you are, which is so much more than you can comprehend. Even if we just stood like this and talked for the rest of your life, we could not bring verbal comprehension to you about who you are. It's that big. But your inner being will show you a piece and another 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 piece. So when you speak about discovering who you are, it sounds like the sculpture that you will finish, when it is a steady work in process. Who I am, 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 who I am. Joyful, loving, clear-minded, ready, eager, happy, interested, passionately interested, alive, eager, sure-footed, confident, invincible, loving, allowing, open, wanting, desiring, offering, giving. It feels so good to be spiritually alive in this world of stuff and navigating with precision, because the source within you knows about all the stuff and knows about all the desires and knows how to line you up with the parts that make you feel best. And we like it when things aren't going well and you throw a fit, because things are supposed to go well. They're supposed to go well. You're not supposed to settle and accept less than the very most dynamic, lovely part. You're never supposed to get bored. You're never supposed to get tired. You're never supposed to be done with it. It always has the potential of feeding your hunger for expansion and becoming and more. That's the mantra of the universe, you know, more. Not more. Not because you need it, because you want it. Not because it needs to get done, because it's fun to do. Not because it's broken and needs to be fixed, but because it's delightful and is ready to be discovered. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I want to end by just saying that I feel the answer is that knowing that as long as I'm active, involved, that the conditions and the things that are happening, I'm benefiting from, and it's directly feeding me.
Yes, but we're going to give you another word to add to that. As long as I'm happy.
As long as I'm happy.
As long as I'm happy.
That's true.
As long as I'm happy.
I am happy.
So, are you happy?
I'm happy. I'm ecstatic.
That's something to ask yourself steadily. Are you happy? Are you happy? Esther's using words like, I am so comfortable. Ooh, I am so happy that I am so comfortable. The waiter comes by and says, would you like something? I'm happy. I'm happy. It's such a good word. It's such a good feeling around the word.
It's totally a good word.
We interrupted you. You were saying, as long as I am.
Well, what I do is I'm a trained psychology, PhD. I teach yoga. I own a yoga studio.
Yeah.
I believe in body work. It works. I keep people out of pain, both emotionally and physically. And it's just taxing. And there are times I need to take care of myself. And when you mentioned slumbering, wow.
Let's talk about that yoga for just a moment. We're going to give you a definition of it that no one may have ever given you. But as you hear this, it's going to click into place for you in a really powerful way. Because the perfect experience of this discipline or delicious experience that you're calling yoga is being in the receptive mode and letting Source guide your movements. Because as Source is guiding your movements, Source knows where your resistance is. Source knows where resistance is settled into your body. Source knows the path of least resistance for you in that moment. So what you're really wanting to get them to is to the receptive mode where their Source can guide their movement. And when it feels exhausting to you, it's because you're trying to push the noodle. It's because you're trying to accomplish with action for them something that would have been much better accomplished if they could have accomplished alignment first, you see. Everyone has an inner being who is aware of all of the physicality, all of the muscles, all of the ligaments, all of the tendons, all of the stress points, all of the molecules, all of the cells, all of the fluids, all of the physical aspects of your bodies are so known, intimately known, not just generally known, intimately known by the Source within you. And when you get into the receptive mode and you feel the inspiration to move and align and allow that source energy to choose the movement for you, not pushing you beyond what is good for you given the resistance that you hold, but just enough to release the energy and allow it to flow.